The objective of this lesson is to write an expression using variables and identify the parts of an expression. This is a task vocabulary lesson. This task gives students a context in which to relate the new vocabulary words they have learned regarding expressions. In previous lessons, students have learned how to write expressions in both written and standard form. They have also learned an algebraic expression is an expression with a variable. The students will learn new vocabulary today: coefficient, term, and constant. Let's look at a task which shows similar situations that have different expressions. Tiana wants to collect pennies, so her brother gave her a jar with 5 pennies in it. On the first day, Tiana placed 6 pennies in the jar. How many pennies does she have now? If Tiana places 6 pennies in the jar every day, how many pennies will she have after 5 days? 30 days? 100 days? Is there an expression to represent the total number of pennies on any day? Let's use a chart like this one to record the findings. Tiana started with 5 pennies that her brother gave her. Let's write 5 in the first box of total pennies. On day 1, she added 6 pennies to the 5 she already had. The expression would be 5 plus 6 for a total of 11 pennies. On day 2, she added another 6 pennies to her jar again. The expression to represent her total pennies would be 5 plus 6 from day 1 plus 6 more for a total of 17 pennies. Or another way would be 5 plus 2 times 6. On day 3, there would be 5 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 pennies in the jar. While adding the 6 3 times for day 3 is correct, it is not very efficient. And when she gets to day 30, that is a lot of 6s to add up. Another way to write the expression would be 5 plus 3 days of 6 pennies, or 3 times 6, for a total of 23 pennies. Notice the day number is the number of 6s being added to the jar, or the number being multiplied by 6. Knowing the relationship between the day number and the amount being multiplied by 6 are the same. Day 4 will have an expression of 5 plus 4 times 6, with a total of 29 pennies. Day 5 will have an expression of 5 plus 5 times 6, with a total of 35 pennies. On day 30, the expression would be 5 plus 30 times 6, and the total pennies would be 185. On day 100, the expression would be 5 plus 100 times 6, for a total of 605 pennies. Looking at the expressions, the 5 is the original or starting point. It is constant and never changes regardless of how many pennies are added to the jar. This is called the constant. The second part of the expression represents the number of groups of 6 pennies that are added to the jar, and this number changes or varies depending on the day. The amount of 6s can be written with a variable, like the letter D, where D is the number of days. The expression to represent the total number of pennies after D amount of days would be 5, the constant, plus D, the variable, times 6, or 5 plus 6 times D. In the expression 5 plus 6 times D, the 6, or the number in front of the variable, is called the coefficient. The coefficient is a factor that is multiplied by the variable. In the expression, there is an addition sign separating the expression into 2 parts, or 2 terms. A term is either a single number or variable, or a number and variable multiplied together. Terms are separated by an addition or subtraction sign. One of the terms, 6 times D, is a product, and therefore 6 and D are factors. The total amount of money can be read as the sum of a product and a constant. The objective for this lesson was to write an expression using variables and identify the parts of an expression. We met this objective by finding a pattern in a real-world task that could be written as an expression with a variable and a constant. We identified the key parts of the expression to include the variable, constant, term, and coefficient.